Hey everybody, this is Susan with Pumpkin Hill Stampers. I have a Stampin' Share card for you today. Today we're going to be using the Cheers to the Year stamp set, which is in our holiday, fall occasions catalog, which ends the beginning of January. So if you want some of the goodies out of there, I suggest you order in December. Today I'm doing a wedding card. So this one says Mr. and Mrs. and So Your Story Begins. But this kit is so universal, and this set also, because it also has the Cheers to a New Year, you can make a Christmas card out of it, and the designer series paper that comes in this bundle is fabulous. It's all foil based on basic white, so you can color it. It's got 4 different designs, some Christmassy, some just patterns, and it's really a lot of fun. So let me go ahead and show you how I put this card together, and we'll just have a little Stampin' fun here. Okay, so I decided to put my card on Smoky Slate because I was using this designer series paper with the silver foil pattern in it. So I thought that would be kind of nifty. And then I wanted to use one color to kind of accentuate what was going on. So this time I picked Pacific Blue, which I really like the boldness of it, but it's also kind of fun. So we're going to start by mounting our DSP onto a piece of Pacific Blue. Okay, so let's get this going. So sometimes I find it easier to stand up when I'm positioning things, or sometimes I sit at a tall table, that helps too. So just a little bit of edging around on that. Okay, now I'm not going to put that on yet, and I'll show you why in just a second. We're going to add this ribbon piece. So now I have a piece of vellum, which I'm going to do this circle in. So first I'm stamping the circle in the Pacific Blue on vellum. Try not to smudge it. And then I'm going to add the words to the inside, and So Your Story Begins. Now I have to let that dry, okay, but then I'm going to come in with my 2-inch circle punch, and I'm going to punch that. Now I've pre-stamped one of these that's already dry so that we can just keep moving along here on the video. You could always use your heat set tool to do that as well, so you don't have to wait as long. So, see how that just fits nicely in that 2-inch punch? Okay, so we have our little embellishment there. Now our next embellishment is this banner piece that's coming down. And so I've got my triple banner punch. Now this is preset at 1, 1.5, and 2, and my paper is actually 1 3/4. So I kind of have to be in between. So here's a little trick. I flip it over, okay, and I slide my paper in, but then I have to center it on the V as best I can. So I'm looking at my 2 little gaps here and here, deciding if that's my center. And I think that's probably pretty close. So I'm going to take that end off. Okay. So even though it's only preset at the 1, 1.5, and 2, by using it upside down and positioning it yourself, you can get those tags really on any piece of cardstock smaller than 2 inches. Now we're going to stamp these little circles. Got to get that stamped out. We're going to stamp that to create some added definition to our banner. So I'm just going to put this on the back of my block. So I kind of do it half and half, so they kind of pair into each other. So I'm doing one like that, and then I do another one down there, and I just kind of compete down the side to try and create that similar pattern of what that background paper is doing. So mimicking, so to speak. Alright, so now I've got my banner. I've got my circle. Okay, I need my little Mr. and Mrs. So I'm going to actually get my scrap back out because I only need a 1/2-inch piece. So a skinny piece of scrap. Always keep those scraps. I keep them in a little 12-inch ruler box. So all the different pieces so I can easily find a 1/2-inch piece. Now I am using the thicker white for this because it's going to stand up there kind of on its own for a tag. And I don't want it to be flimsy. So now I'm not pre-cutting this, so I'm just going to ink up my stamp, and then I'm going to stamp it on my paper, and then I'll just use my paper snips and cut it to the size that I need. So just a little bit on each end. Easy peasy. So there's that. So that's the other thing right there. And now we have a snowflake. I bet you didn't realize that was a snowflake. And we have some of this fun white ribbon, and mine is edged in silver. We also have it where it's edged in gold, and it's called, looking on the thing here, it's called Silver Argent, I guess. So it's white ribbon with our silver trim. That's also in our holiday catalog, so that's kind of nifty to add if you like one metallic over the other, or get them both to have in your collection. Alright, so now let's go ahead and start putting the front together a little bit. So I said before I wasn't going to put this on the front because we were going to have to add our embellishments. So this is my cheater bow. I'm going to flip the blue over, and I'm going to run snail on my edges because I'm going to end up adhering it to my card front. But I take my longer piece of ribbon and I just wrap that around the back edge into that snail. Okay, just like that. So it just tucks into that snail. Now I'm going to go ahead and put that on the front to hold it all together. Okay, press that down. Now here's my little cheater bow. I slide this one underneath because I didn't add any adhesive here, so I can slide that underneath. And then I just tie a simple single knot. Just like that. You can twist those ends to get them to lay down the way you want them to. Just give it a snug pull. And then to get those ends together and be similar, this is what I do. I pull my two tails up together. Learned this very early in my stamping years from a great demonstrator friend. And then I pinch them together, and then I use my snips and I cut them on an angle. And then I've got beautiful tails on my ribbon, and they're about the same length. So that's a nice cheat there. Alright, so now I've got this banner. So the banner is actually a little longer than I want it, but that's okay, I can trim it from up here. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my paper snips, come across. You can use a straight edge or your paper cutter as well. But I'm just going to take some of that extra cardstock off. Okay, so there's that. So now we have to do this little flourish on the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my snowflake in half. I know, cutting up embellishments. You can do it. You'll be okay. Makes them go farther too. Now, I want this long piece to be in my banner. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this into a quarter. See, now I can make two cards with this embellishment, easy. And then if you place this over at the top, you got the little extra, but we'll trim that off in just a second. So I'm going to add adhesive to the bottom of my banner there. Okay, and then I'm going to place it over the snowflake. So I'm kind of centering this center strip with the center of my point and just press that together. And then I flip it over and I'm just going to trim off those extra edges. That way it's fit to size. Okay. And now I'm putting that whole thing on a dimensional. So where are my dimensionals? Here they are. Putting the whole thing on dimensionals to give it a little bit of lift. Okay. Alright, we're in the final stretch here. So I'm going to marry that up with the top of my card. Like that. Okay. Now, vellum, you can see the adhesive underneath, so you want to be careful how you place it. As you notice this one, I can pick it up, so I've only got it tacked right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a little snail right about there. I'm going to put my circle down so it overlaps on that snail. Okay, and now I've got my little Mr. and Mrs., and that's going to go right over where I put that. So I'm going to put one dimensional on the Mr. end of that. Get get that sticky, and I'm just going to add a little snail on the Mrs. end. And then I'm going to put that right over, whoops, right over the adhesive and add my tag. Okay, so that's a cheat of how you can get your vellum elements on there without seeing your adhesive. Just use another element to hide it. Now let's see. I have our new rhinestones. Okay, and so I'm going to use a big rhinestone, and I'm going to put it right down here just for a little extra bling. I think wedding cards all deserve a little bling. So, just like that. Okay? So, I hope you enjoyed this little card. Like I said, you could always change the Mr. and Mrs. and So Your Story Begins and make it a New Year's Eve card. It says Season Greetings. We've got Joy, so you could really make it any type of holiday greeting card, or use it for the wedding. Snowflakes are really pretty if you have winter weddings as well. So, and we've got these little hearts and stars that you could add some embellishment as well. So, you know, look at a set. It might be, you know, characterized as a holiday set, but when you look at the words and you look at the items, you might actually see that, hey, I could use this set for a lot of other occasions that you might want to employ it for. Now, I always say when we do a card, we should stamp our envelope. So I got a Whisper White envelope here. And I'm going to come back in with the same broken circle. And I'm going to create a little pattern here that's going to mimic the front of my card. And they'll be surprised. They'll say, hey, what's going on here? Well, they won't know it's a hand stamped card until they open it. But then they will be delightfully surprised that you made them a card just for them, and it was made with love. So I hope you enjoyed our little stamp and share today. If you want to make a card with this kit, just contact me for a product kit. I provide them while my supplies last, so don't wait too long. And you can always, like I said, you can make it just the way I did it. You can use a different stamp set. Maybe you have a totally different idea, but say, hey, I like all those elements. So I'm happy to provide you with some stamping pleasure. So just go ahead and contact me at pumpkinhillstampers.com, and I'll get you all hooked up. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day and happy stamping.